Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at the Coolermaster Sickleflow 120 ARGB 3-in-1 kit, which is available at the moment on Amazon for an extremely good price. We're going to go through today, do an unboxing, show you what the fans are like, have some thoughts on noise profiles, etc. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why you should definitely buy them and one reason why you definitely shouldn't. Right, let's get into it. So let's start off with the packaging and take a look and see what this is all about. So it is a 3-in-1 kit, which I'm not entirely sure how they make that out. It should be a 3+1 kit potentially, but anyway, we'll go through that. So as you can see, this is the Sickleflow 120 ARGB from Coolermaster. These are actually some pretty decent 120mm fans. They've got a new improved bearing, they've got some really nice translucent blades on there and some nice RGB effects, which you can actually control with the controller which is included, hence why it's a 3-in-1 kit. So you get 3 of the 120mm fans and also you get a separate addressable RGB controller. So for those of you out there that don't have a motherboard with addressable RGB, or you've got a case which doesn't have a controller built in, this may be just what you need. Now the controller is very basic, there's only a few lighting cycles on there which we'll check out later on, but certainly for a lot of people, if you just want some rainbow puke or you just want a static colour, either red, green or blue, this should do the trick. On the side of the box it tells you about what you actually get included, so again 3 fans and the controller. On the back of the box goes over some of the specific features such as the new improved blades, bearings, etc, etc. And on the other side of the box we've got some of the specifications, so let's quickly drill down through some of those. Probably the most important one for a lot of you is going to be the RPM control range, so we're looking at between 650 and 1800 RPM. Airflow is rated at 62 CFM, and the static pressure for use with radiators etc is measured at 2.5mm H2O. Also, thing of note, it comes with a 2-year warranty, which isn't absolutely outstanding, but certainly better than some. So let's start off with taking a look at the fans themselves. So the fans, as you can see, 120mm fans. These should fit in pretty much most cases or on radiators. If you've got a 120, 240 or 360mm rad, these potentially will do just the job. Nice frames on them, nice and sturdy. You've also got rubber dampeners on all 4 corners on both sides, front and back. You also got a 7-blade design on there and also a 6 RGB or 6 LED addressable RGB lighting system, which shines through quite nicely, as you've potentially seen for some B-roll already. Something that some of you may not like is the Coolermaster logo in the middle there. That is one of those kind of hologram type things, and as you spin it, it does some very trippy stuff. For some people that may be absolutely perfect. I find actually it's a little bit distracting, and also the sticker is slightly offset, so it isn't completely straight, so the purists out there may dislike that. When it comes down to cabling and connectivity, the cables aren't particularly long, so potentially you may want to take note of that. I will measure them and put the measurements actually on the screen. You've got 2 cables coming off, one of which is a 4-pin PWM, which is nicely braided as well. And also you've got your addressable RGB cable, which has got the standard 3-pin 5-volt type section on there. And also there is a pass-through with a cap on it. So if you do want to daisy chain the fans, you can do. A little bit of a shame they don't have the daisy chain built in actually on the PWM cable, but don't worry, Coolermaster got you covered. There is actually a splitter included in the accessories box, which we'll take a look at next. First of all, you get your instruction guide, which is actually going to be pretty helpful for some of you who are starting out with this. Not entirely sure how the wiring works. They've done it in a kind of IKEA-esque style there, so you can work out where exactly the cables go. So let's take a look now at the rest of the accessories. So you get the kind of obvious things. So in this little bag, there are some screws to actually attach the fans to your case. And also there are 3 addressable RGB female to female connectors. I'm not entirely sure why they're in there. You're not really going to be needing them, but I guess it's nice to have them rather than not have them at all. Also included, these are very cool. These are little clips which hold your addressable RGB connectors together. We've all done it before where you've wired up something, you've daisy chained some cables, and maybe you've made some modifications, moved your power supply cables or taken a graphics card out and you've moved the wire in, and all of a sudden some of your fans aren't working, no lighting. So these are really good. These keep the addressable RGB connections firmly in place, and you get 3 of those included, obviously 1 for each fan. Next up we've got the PWM splitter. So this takes a single signal which you can plug into your motherboard, which is the female type connection there, and then you've got 3 males, one of which is color coded with a brown section. This is the one which actually reads the PWM signal. So if you do mix and match, unfortunately the only one which is going to give your motherboard a reading is going to be this one here, which is color coded, making life a little bit easier. Again, it's designed for use with this system, so you can plug in any one of your fans into any of the 3 connections there and it'll be absolutely fine because they've all got the same RPM range. And last up is the actual control box. Now I've actually got the cable plugged in already, so there is a 5-pin connection here, which is a completely non-standard one. This plugs into the side of the control box. There is also a section on there, so if you want to, you can actually wire this up to the reset button in your case or some other button should you wish to. Some cases have got a dedicated RGB button, potentially you could use that. As long as it's a 2-pin, plug that in, then you can take control of the lighting from your case or the reset button. There's also a button actually on the unit itself which you can click, which will cycle through the various lighting styles. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple to do. All it requires is SATA power from your power supply, so plug that straight into one of the cables coming from your power supply, which we'll show you later. And the other one is the output. This is your addressable RGB output, which is going to take your signal from here and distribute it into the fans, which we're going to do now as we set it all up. So there we go, we've got our fans connected up and just basically got a power supply over on the side there. I'm actually using a Noctua fan controller, which is this one here. So this is effectively going to be replacing the motherboard in terms of PWM signal. And we've also got the Coolermaster control box there for the addressable RGB. There's a little light on there as well to tell you if it's getting power. And as you can see, it certainly is getting power. You can see the actual illumination coming through. So you've got those 6 addressable LEDs on each of the fans. I think they actually look pretty nice. Let me know what you think in the comment section. The camera never really does these justice, unfortunately. Now this is currently set to the lowest RPM. This is at 650 revolutions per minute. There is a little bit of reverb coming through from the actual table. This is just an IKEA LAC table, so it's a hollow table, so there is some noise coming through here, but hopefully you'll get the general idea. So in order to change the lighting, if you're not going to be plugging these directly into your motherboard's addressable RGB header, then you can just press the button on here. So this is the kind of the default setting. If we press the button once again, it will then go into the kind of fade section, so it goes through your reds, your blues, your greens, etc, etc, and just goes through on a looping cycle. Again, some people may like this. I personally am not overly keen on it, but for some people it may be absolutely fine. Press the button again, then you get your statics, so you get your red, then you get your blue and your green. And if for some reason you just don't want your lighting on at all, or maybe it's nighttime, you've gone to bed and your PC's on, press the button again, or of course the reset button on your case if you've got it wired up in that way. And then you can have the lights off altogether and the fans still functioning. So let's go back into the rainbow puke. I actually kind of like this. You can of course go through, like I said, press the button, go through various lighting styles, but realistically there isn't a great deal to choose from. You will get considerably more flexibility from your motherboard or a separate addressable RGB controller. But being that this is actually included in the kit, I think it's a nice addition. So let's take a look at the fan RPM range. And I've got to be honest, I did connect this up to my motherboard earlier just to give it some idea of what it can do. There isn't a zero fan technology built into these, so if you put them on the very lowest setting that your motherboard or your controller will use, they don't stop. So the lowest speed possible is 650 RPMs, which we've currently got now, which is actually moving a reasonable amount of air, but some people do prefer the fans to stop altogether. Unfortunately, that isn't the case this time round. So let's take it up to about 50%. And there's a slight increase in noise, not a great deal. If I'm completely silent, you might just about be able to hear that. Let's lift these up and see if it is the table or the fans. Yeah, basically silent. Can't hear them over the PC that's on behind me with considerably more fans. So yeah, that's pretty good. Let's put it on full blast. And now they are definitely vibrating on the table, so let's lift them up. And now you can hear there is quite a profile of that, but they are moving a significant amount of wind. And in terms of CFM, like we said, 62 CFM times 3. So that's 186 CFM of air moving through potentially your case and or your radiator. But as you can hear, there's a little bit of vibration there. So let's turn those right down and we'll put them back. You can see the actual wind force made the fan actually wiggle a little bit there. So you can get an idea of how much air these are actually moving. So let's go through and discuss why you should buy these. Now, the reasons you should buy them, personally, I think they're really good fans, very good build quality. You've got all of the accessories included in the kit straight away. So even if you don't have a motherboard with addressable RGB, you can get these fired up and have them looking really nice in your system. Maybe you're doing a flip system with an older motherboard, then this is going to give you that addressable RGB lighting that buyers generally do seem to crave for. The downsides are going to be the price. Now, the normal retail price for this kit is somewhere in the region of about £40 to £50, which I feel is a little bit on the expensive side, especially being the controller is somewhat limited, and also the fans themselves probably in a similar range to some of the Arctic P12s, which we reviewed a little while back, which we'll try and link in the video description. You can quite often pick those up for about £11 each. So that would bring these in considerably lower price. They are a better fan and they do support zero fan technology, so they can completely stop. Arguably the lighting is a little bit better and there is considerably more airflow. So potentially at that sort of price, I would definitely give these a miss. Having said that, Coolermaster are one of those brands where if you shop around on Amazon and various other stores, you can quite often find these on sale. Now I actually did that. We picked these up for somewhere around £21, £22 I think it was. I'll put it in the corner there of the screen so you know exactly what it was. So do keep an eye out for these. Potentially you can pick them up for an absolute bargain. At £20 for the complete set, you're looking at £6 per fan plus a couple of quid for the controller, which I think is absolutely fantastic value for money. And to be honest, I wish I'd have bought 2 packs of these so I can kit out an entire PC with them. Obviously, depending on the size of your PC, if it's a micro ATX, you've only got 2 fans at the front, 1 in the rear as exhaust, going to be absolutely fine. For ATX systems, possibly 3 in the front, maybe an extra couple in the top, 1 at the back. 2 sets would set that off really, really nicely. But ultimately, it's going to come down to you and also the prices that you can pick them up for. So there you go, that's my thoughts on the Coolermaster Sickleflow 120 ARGB 3-in-1 kit. Let me know what you think about them in the comments section below. I've got to be honest, I think for the money, when they're on full sale, excellent value for money when they're reduced, but at normal retail price, I think it's definitely a miss. So that wraps things up. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.